Hi. I I think the sound is better with the headphones and the microphone. Um I had planned on doing my second part to intrusive thoughts or I I call it obsessive compulsive disorder inside bipolar disorder, within bipolar disorder, but um I don't have the mental energy to do that. All I can do is talk about how I'm feeling right now. And, excuse me. Um, I've talked about this topic a lot because it really surprises me um, that the difference with depression. Um, the difference between types of depression. Um, if I am actually crying, I would say about 99% of the time I'm crying because of an event or a situation that does exist and makes sense that I would cry. Um, like sad, or I also cry when I'm angry sometimes, frustrated, cry. Um, but when I'm depressed, like bipolar depressed, I um, what happens to me is I just go blank in my head, and I have a really hard time thinking through the smallest parts of the day. And so making the bigger parts of the day absolutely excruciating. Time seems to slow to just so slow, snail's pace, slug's pace. Um, and I blank out. It's like stare at the wall for a few minutes and kind of come to. It's almost like a seizure. Um, it's like, and forget creativity or motivation. Forget that. So I thought it was okay earlier today, but um, at one point I realized that I was dreading tomorrow, and um, tomorrow is nothing but another day in doing what I actually get excited doing and enjoy doing and I'm paid to do. And then all of a sudden I'm dreading it. Not because of the activity, and I'm talking about dog training. I have two clients tomorrow, you know, hour, hour and a half. Um, this one client, I think, is when the first meeting I had last week took 2 hours, and they're kind of a mess. So, um, as far as what's going on with their dog, and so that might take longer. So that's not really a big part of the day. But to me, right now, it seems enormous. Just enormous and impossible. Um, my best bet is to know beforehand. Make sure I know what we'll be working on. I don't know how I'll handle any surprises, like new behaviors or anything. I won't be able to come up with any innovative ideas, which I can do often normally. And, just quit very quickly. Well, let's try this, and it works. That's typically how it goes. But I'm just dreading it. Just dreading it. And I'm now dreading the dread. Does that make sense? So that I'm like, I hope my night meds kick in soon so I don't have to feel this feeling. And also, what happens is things that weren't causing me problems too bad, that I didn't mind too much before this, now seem huge. My hair, for example. I'm purposely growing out my hair. And yesterday, I was resigned and okay with the fact that for a while I'm going to have funky hair until I can get it cut and just not have to dye it anymore. But today I see it and I'm like, oh my God, how embarrassing. I can't go out of the house. And that's just not me. I don't really care what people think about my appearance. I mean, the only thing I care about is that, if I go to a client's house, I look presentable, But I've explained to them, because I'm self conscious about it, is my hair is going to look weird because I'm letting it grow out. It's not because I don't care about my appearance. And so, and then, oh, I was rummaging in the closet, our hall closet, looking for something, and I came across our home use blood pressure machine, and I had it from a long time ago when I took Seroquel regular, not XR. I would have, after I took it, like a few hours, my heart would pound, and I would think I was dying. It hurt. It was terrifying, and I would take my blood pressure and pulse with that to make me, okay, I'm not dying. It just feels like it. So I just see it, and on a whim, I check my blood pressure, and it was high. It was 151 over 90 something. I was like, oh, that's not good. And so it was in the evening, nighttime evening. And I did it a few nights after that because I was a little worried. And it was running lower than that, but still like in the 140s and 90s. And so I took it this morning and it was normal because I'm going to do a week of morning and night and then take it to the doctor if I feel it's still high and something that needs to be addressed. And normally that would, up to now, that the most I felt about was being really annoyed about having to pay for a doctor's visit. So annoyance was the highest emotion there. But now, when my mind is moving, it's about, oh, you have to take blood pressure medication on top of all your other medication. And remember when you took that blood pressure medication for your tremor, you got really it was awful, you got really depressed, and it just really just and then capping it all off with everything, capping it with a um, that's just my life anyway, so I'm just gonna shut off like a light switch. I can't wait to fall asleep, and when I say I don't want to wake up, doesn't mean I don't want to wake up, like, it means I'm dreading what I have to do tomorrow. I'm just gonna, what I do, what I have learned over the many years, what I do, what works best for me when this happens is I make my goals for the day smaller, less a number, fewer, and less output needed. Do the must do's and don't worry about I should do this, I should, like, oh, I have so much laundry to do. I should be doing laundry, but I can't because I just can't physically move, or it's just like all the laundry. It looks like a lot of laundry, but it's not really. But it's just big, the task. So it's like today, so it, like, tomorrow will be, instead of see 2 clients, do 2 loads of laundry, work on brooms and wands, paint the, it's like I always have this really long list and I get as much as I can done. That's my usual. But tomorrow is going to be like, go see 2 clients. And that's all I'm going to expect of myself. nothing is going to fall apart if that's all I do tomorrow. So the thing is that depression isn't always crying and sobbing and, you know, sometimes it's just blank. And I wanted to tell you about something that happened that did upset me. I almost cried. I didn't, but I was very shaken up. I was shaking and I was very upset. Uh, I took my service dog to the post office with me to mail a package. It was a long line. Like, it took like 30 minutes in this line, and he was a perfect angel doing everything he was supposed to do. And I saw the guy who was there, and I kind of sighed because, as we were moving up, I was like, I remember him. He was a real jerk to me one time, and I don't remember what it was about, but it's like he just went out of his way to be a jerk. And I'm watching him, and I'm like, this is insane. This is nothing to do with what happened that I'm telling you about, but I do have to ask this. Are they paid extra to move extra slowly? Because, oh, he's going so slow. Anyway, it has nothing to do with what happened. So, my service dog is wearing this service dog vest, and it says service dog on it. It's bright colors. It says do not pet, I'm working, all that jazz. And his leash is one that goes over across my chest. And there's a thing right there on it that says service dog. And he has a short leash, we just call it traffic lead, if I need him to get a little closer in. And it says, the whole thing says service dog on it. Okay, so I get up there and I get to the counter and he says, we need to have a conversation about your dog. And I'm like, yeah, what? And he's like, is he a service dog? I'm going to try to recollect this with my brain not quite functioning properly. I said, he's a service dog. He's my service dog. And he said, do you have the paperwork that, says he's a service dog? And I'm like, okay, teaching moment. And I said, there really is no such thing. According to the ADA, any of those places, I didn't say this to him, but for your information, if you look on Amazon, it'll give you a letter that says, or just Google it, they send you a letter that's BS, there's no such thing, it does not exist, they just start selling you something. Anyway, and I told him, I said, there's no such thing, but he is a task trained service dog. And he said, well, is he clearly, wearing, I forget what words he used, visibly, that says he's a service dog. And I'm like, and the lady behind me laughed, and I think it was because it says service dog all over him and all over. So I'm like, dude, if you decided we needed to have a conversation while I was way back in that line. You had to notice that he was wearing a vest with patches, and you know, that's, we kind of stand out. And I said, he's a task trained service dog. And he said, well, that's very nice that you have a pet that will do that for you. Because I said he's a task trained service dog to help me with my disability. And he said, well, it's very nice that you have a pet that can do that for you. And I was quick on that. And I said, he's not a pet, he's medical equipment. And he said, he said, well, do you take him everywhere you go with you? And according to the ADA, which is federal law, I'm telling you this now, businesses can ask two questions. Is it a service dog? What tasks does it perform? That's it. And so he asked, well, do you take him with you wherever you go? Everywhere you go, he said. Not yeah. Because I saw you the other day and he wasn't with you. Now, there are some situations that I'm comfortable enough that he's not needed. But a crowded post office, my mom goes with me to a lot of places. So sometimes when things are going on, if she's going, I'll go with her, and we may or may not have him with us. With me. Like I definitely take him to Walmart and the grocery store. But I live in a small town, so I run into the same people a lot. So, and I have no choice but to go to those stores and places, like one post office and quite a distance. And anyway, he had me so flustered. I knew all the answers, because he started talking about people who I've seen people try to, bring, I don't know. Anyway, I was trying to not make a scene, and I was feeling very, very trapped because the counter's really tall. And then there was a wall immediately to my left, and Finnegan was doing his thing. He was between me and the dude, and planted there. And I just did my transaction and didn't say any more to him because I didn't want to start crying. But I wasn't done with him. I was too flustered to think. And they were closing soon. And I got in my car and I called my mom, like, Mom, you need to get ready so you can come with me right now. And we need to go into this post office so I can educate this guy, but I can't do it alone. So I hurried up and went home, and she got in the car and she told me that I had the talk shoes, just like back up. So and see, I have made these cards. I don't know, these little cards for me for this exact purpose, but I didn't even think of them because I was flustered. And see, now if I think about this instance, I start to get out of my depression. So maybe indignation is my cure. Um, that say his name and it has his picture, and that he is, um, you know, types of tasks he does, that he's a psychiatric service dog, and then on the back it says the ADA guidelines, the 2 questions they can ask and what they cannot ask for. Um, and so my mom was behind me, and see, he said, okay, so let's look at this together. Um, Ask if he's a service dog. That's what I did. And I had my phone on record so I could record the conversation, the second conversation, when he totally changed everything because my mom was with me, and he may have noticed that I wasn't recording him, I was recording the audio. And all of a sudden everything changed. He's like, well, yeah, so I asked you that. I said, yeah, but you asked me other questions as well. And I just brought these in because it seems like the employees here need some education on service dogs and what they're allowed to ask and not ask. And he kept saying he was sorry, he didn't intend to hurt my feelings, and he saw that I was upset, and when he asked if he goes everywhere with me, he was just trying to make conversation. Now that's bullshit, because he said, because I saw you without him the other day. He didn't mention that part. So uh, but my mom appears with me, and it turns into, I was just trying to make conversation. And he said that he talked about how when he lived in California, he trained dogs for 12 years, service dogs for 12 years, and was in Iraq for 5 and had a dog there training. And he said that, and this is not true, he said, well, the paperwork, he said, I don't know about here, but I know that service dogs in training have to have paperwork. And I said, that's not true. Now, a facility training service dogs will most likely have that dog go through an evaluation when they're a pup to make sure their temperament is suitable to being out and about. They also have to pass certain skills out in public. I said that to him because I'm a dog trainer too. And and I said, but they don't have to have anything like that. I make the people that I am helping with owner trained service dogs, and it hasn't been many because they just weren't suitable, and I'm not going to pass a dog on that I don't think is suitable. But I tell them that they will have to go through CGC, but CGC is Canine Good Citizens certificate, which I'm an evaluator for. So, it's just a way to gauge where they're at, if they're good material. And it's through the AKC. It has nothing to do with, and it's by choice, trainer or facility to even do that. Bottom line is the dog has to be under control. The dog has to be doing tasks related to a disability. The dog has to be housebroken and not be obtrusive, blocking traffic, getting in the way. Can't be barking. Those are public access things. And I make the people going through that fill out logs on what training they did, where they went. So he's saying that this stuff is required in California. And I'm like, no, it's not, because the ADA is a federal. Those are federal laws. And so California could not supersede federal laws. And I said, and I also pointed out, you've been here a long time. So I think that by now you would have found out, if there is a difference, what that difference is, because he finally pointed out the fact that I knew more about. He said, "Well, and you know more about Missouri, which is where we are now, Missouri laws, but I know in California." And I'm like, "No, that's not true. It's either by trainer or facility. It's not like a law that says you need some paper, that's bull." And so I bring in this card, and two of them, and I am gonna show it to you. Hold on. Okay, I found them. The printing's kind of small, but I need to cut some more out. It's like a bifold thing. And by the way, this is his CGC paperwork, AKC, Canine Goods. He has that patch on him. But it says, Finn, medical / psychiatric response service dog. Next episode, distress alert response, anxiety mitigation, deep pressure therapy, memory work, which is actually the main thing he does, is make sure I remember to take my medication, get up, go to bed. And then the other side says one small dog training, which is mine. I need new bifocals. I am a service animal. My handler, Megan, has the following rights in accordance with the ADA. Businesses may ask, is this a service dog? What tasks does the service animal perform? Businesses may not require special ID for the service animal. Ask about handler's disability. Charge fees because of animal. Refuse entry. I can't read that, isolate or segregate against the handler. A disabled person cannot be asked to remove service animal unless the animal is out of control and the handler doesn't take immediate action. The animal poses poses a threat to health and safety of others. So that's the card. That's ADA. That's everywhere in the United States. So now, that's one more place I'll have panic attacks about going to. You know, my world is in this small town is getting smaller and smaller because of things. Because I run into people that I've had experiences with, and I like freeze and my heart beats and I can't think of what I'm doing. Is just terrible. And through this long conversation, both conversations, Finn, he goes by, planted his body like this between me and the guy, standing block. And that's what he's trained to do. It's not on there, but some of my issues are PTSD issues, and that is a blocking. So, to make you feel safer from scary people at the post office. So, I see. He also talked about people who, he said this is the only service dog he's met in the 5 years here. Everyone else that's tried to bring an animal in, the animal's totally, obviously not a service animal. So, if in the end he has told me that, why did he harass me for this whole time? Why didn't he say, in the very beginning, I really appreciate that your service dog is well behaved and not some people who are passing them off. And I am going to say this to people that do try to pass their dog off as a service dog. And I understand, I know I understand, but you cannot do that. Especially if you know, and it's obvious when we see it, that the dog's not appropriate. The dog might be great. The dog might be awesome for anxiety relief and that. But unless it has had the training and has the right temperament and is displaying the right behaviors, it's only going to make people question every dog that comes across their path as being a service dog. And it also kind of puts a damper on the people who have put in, and the dog that has been put in so much training, and somebody who hasn't slap on a service dog vest. So that's not fair. and that's very short-sighted and selfish. That's why me as a dog trainer and having been through the owner trained service dog, I provide that and support people. But I tell them in the beginning, at any time during training, we may find that this dog is not appropriate for service dog work. At any time. And it's called a wash. So, because if someone needs one and they can't afford it, I'm their next best thing, because it's still owner trained, but I'm there to support and, give information, see if they're on the right track, make sure, problem solving. That's the actual task training. I can easily do the basic training, the CGC. I can do the evaluation for CGC. I can do public access training, and have that pass or fail. And they have to go through everything. They have to keep a log. And I really have had a tiny amount of people that made it to the end because they had just gotten a dog and decided they wanted it to be a service dog, which I don't think is not a bad thing, as long as you know it might not work. Because I didn't know he was going to be a service dog when I got him. It just happened that there were things that happened, and I needed that. I was not, memory problems were bad. Panic attacks about going out, and it just happened that he just happened to have the temperament for what I needed, and that was bossy. I need a bossy dog that will not stop until I take my medication. I can't fool him or anything. So, it's things like that. Going to bed on time, getting up, not staying in bed all day. So, it was just a lucky happenstance. It just was coincidental. So I prefer people to look at shelter dogs and visit with them more than once with a trainer. So anyway, I didn't know I was going to talk that long about the service dog thing, but I feel a lot better now that I have. I'm going to attach the male guy, the one I recorded, even though I already posted it. I'll attach it to this. So, all right. Good night.
Thank you very much. Good seeing you. Good seeing you. set. Megan, what can I do for you?
I came back to drop these off because it seems apparent that the employees here need a little education on service dogs and the ADA guidelines, which is federal, on what you're allowed to ask and not ask about service dogs.
Okay. I appreciate it. Thank you very much. Let's go over it right quick. What's the size here? It says 1. But I can ask you if it's a service dog.
Yes, and you did, and I
did.
answered it.
And
But
you
you
sure
asked
did.
me other questions too.
I asked you if it was marked. If your service
You asked
dog...
me if I take him everywhere with me.
Now that was just conversation. That was conversation.
That was not.
After we cleared up
Yes.
that it was
And you
clearly
also
a
asked
service
me
dog.
for paperwork, which there's no such thing.
I did. And the reason I asked for that is
Mm-hmm.
because if the dog is in training, there is some paperwork that's required if the dog is in training.
No, that's false.
But your dog is clearly not. And you stated that, and
Yeah.
I thought we were okay.
Yeah, but just to clear that up, dogs in training don't require any paperwork either.
Well, I apologize then. In California, where I'm from, I used to train dogs. And when we did that, we always had paperwork.
It's
We were-
it's good for people to keep track, but it's not.
Gotcha. We were
law.
unable to mark the dog as a service dog because he wasn't.
Yeah, they were
But-
the in training.
But in order to socialize him and get his surroundings covered, we had paperwork from
Yeah,
the
well,
state.
you may be talking about CGC or something like that, and that's within itself. It has nothing to do,
Gotcha.
even dogs in training. And you're working in Missouri, you've been working here a while, so then
I've been
it's,
working here 5 years.
yeah,
couple
so,
years.
so
And you
now
wanna know
you
what?
can find out what, but
I-
ADA is federal.
I understand.
That's-
I understand. And you want to know something? Yours is the first service dog that I've seen in my 5 years of being here. Now, there are several people that try to imitate a service animal. So yours is the first service dog that I've actually seen. And when we spoke, your dog was just like this. This strap wasn't visible.
Yeah.
And so when you adjusted your strap, and I saw clearly, and then you backed your dog away from the counter, I clearly saw that it was identified. And the conversation about, do you take your dog everywhere? The
Well, that was
conversation-
after you said, I saw you without him.
He was here, you were here just the other day without him.
Yeah.
So that made me curious. And I was just having a conversation, trying to ease the tension. You were clearly upset. I was just trying to ease the tension and focus on having a conversation. And I apologize if I upset you. Where I'm from in California, we do things a little different, and I apologize for assuming they were done the same here. But once I saw your dog was clearly identified, and you adjusted your strap, I was fine. When you first approached the counter, I could hear him shaking, and he was a little nervous maybe. And so
The ding of your,
Oh, yeah, I got you. Gotcha. You seemed a little nervous, and so I was just trying to have a conversation, and I apologize. And I was confused, because we had a conversation the other day, and we did some business.
if my mom is with me, he may or may not be with me.
Sure. Did you guys come in yesterday? I don't remember seeing you, but I mean, you're fine. I'm totally okay. We clarified it, and I hope you can be comfortable because I will give this to my coworkers who I'm sure don't have any experience with dogs and don't have any experience. But I spent 20 years in the service as a handler, and so I understand a little bit. You obviously understand the state of Missouri better than I do. And it comes up quite regular with people trying to imitate a service animal. And that kind of rubs me the wrong way, to be honest. I don't want to upset you again. But when people try to imitate and tell me that their dog is a service dog, and it's clearly not, that upsets me, just as I'm sure it would upset you. But once I noticed, you backed away from the counter, I was fine. And I apologize if you seemed to take it the wrong way when I asked, because you thought I was insinuating something. And I was just being curious.
Yeah, it definitely felt that way.
And I apologize for that. I didn't mean to insinuate anything other than I was curious. Because we met the other day for the first time, I believe. We met the other day. And now you mentioned, you called him medical attorney. And I understand you don't like the word pet. But I understand, and I apologize, and I hope from now on we'll be okay.
Yeah. There is a differentiation between, we have a couple other dogs that are pets, but he has a job to do, which he does very well. So he's different. He's not a pet.
I understand. When I was in Afghanistan, my dog was a tool. When I came to the States, I had an opportunity to adopt my dog. He is now my pet. So I understand. I just get upset, and I've said it before, I just get upset when people try to imitate and try to circumvent.
Well, I do too, because I know how much work went into.
Exactly. So I get a little upset, and I didn't mean to be upset when we spoke first. I was just curious about the animal. Now, do you think we'll be okay from now on, maybe?
Yeah, and if you would,
I will take care of this.
Okay. Thank you.
I'm going to put one right here with a piece of tape and post it, and I'll put one on the other side. Okay?
Thank you.
Appreciate that.
You're very welcome. Take care.
You too.